Everybody. My name is Jessica Folk, and I'll be talking to you about the debate on the removal of Confederate monuments. This debate has been going on for 2 years, 3 years now, and it mainly became popular during the George Floyd protests this year. Today I'll be talking to you about some of the main points on this debate. The first perspective I'll be talking to you about is when looking at the removal of these monuments through a racial lens. There are two claims that these monuments glorify white supremacy and that and that they are a reminder of the inequalities they are facing today. The other perspective I'll be talking to you about is when looking at the removal of these monuments through a preserving history standpoint. Their two claims are that by removing these monuments, it would result in whitewashing, and that there's no changing history, so why remove them? The first perspective I'll be going into more depth for you is looking at it through a racial lens. Their first claim is that it glorifies white supremacy. Now, if you don't know what white supremacy is, it's the belief that white people are superior to other races. In a BBC article titled "Black Lives Matter Protests: Why Are Statues So Powerful?" written in 2020, Kay Grovier says statues should embody our highest ideals as Americans, expressing who we are and who we aspire to be as a nation. Also, in a Times article titled "Confederate Statues Removed Amid Protests, What to Know," written in 2020, Jay Aguilera says that it is not just that the statues represent white supremacy, but the purpose of building the statues was the perpetuation of white supremacy. So to summarize that, it's not that the statues represent the belief that white people are superior to other races. It's that it was put in something that was going to last a while, and that it was put in something that was symbolic of what America is. Their second claim is that it's a reminder of past and present racial inequality. It makes them feel like instead of embracing the promise of democracy in a diverse society, some want to return us to a far more restrictive time when freedom was circumscribed by race. This was written in a Britannica article titled "Monuments of Hope: Memorials to a Poised Past," written in 2020. The second perspective I'll be talking to you about is when looking at the removal of these statues in a preserving history standpoint. Their first claim is that by removing these statues, it would result in whitewashing. Now, if you don't know what whitewashing is, it's when you gloss over something to make another thing look better. So they're saying that by removing these, we would be glossing over the history of the United States, even though it's not good, to make the United States look better. In a Washington Post article titled "I Detest Our Confederate Monuments, But They Should Remain," written in 2017, L. Kuzner says, "Removing Confederate statues amounts to whitewashing our history, turning our heads away from the inconvenient truths of our past." The second claim I'll be talking to you about in this perspective is that they claim that there's no changing history, so why remove these statues? And our 41st president, George W. Bush, once famously said, "A great nation does not hide its history, it faces its flaws and corrects them." He said this on August 24th, 2016. And I want to conclude with summarizing all my points, which are: the first perspective is when looking through a racial lens, and they argue that these statues glorify white supremacy and that they remind them of the racial inequalities they face today. The second perspective I would like to conclude with is that when looking at the removal of these statues through a preserving history standpoint, is that by removing them, it would result in whitewashing, and that there's no changing history, so why remove them? My stasis is the removal of historic monuments relies solely on the background of the monument.